And welcome everyone to the Circle of the Bay podcast, top 5 picks of the week here, ladies and gentlemen, live here on YouTube and of course all the audio platform listeners. This is the host of TV's When I've Seen, of course, here with me, Familia, the greatest faction of all time, the fellow 4 horsemen of podcasting, which last night, Chris, one of Mike Lopez showed up out of nowhere. I know.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, sorry, man. I had to fucking handle shit, dude. I'm not sleeping much. I'm working too much. I got a lot of shit to handle. So it is what it is.
I'm going to tell them why, because this Sunday, of course, make sure you guys go at the Whiskey. The director will be there. It'll be a live show for free.
All ages, too. Bring your kids. Bring your wives.
Don't bring your grandmother, though. Do not bring your grandmother, because then you got to, yeah.
I mean, you could.
There's some grandmothers who rock out.
Hey, there's only some grandmothers.
Not mine. That was not a shout out to mine.
Oh my God! But yes, once again, we choose my other host, of course, the De Niro of all De Niro's, Mr. DeLorean himself, who takes us back in time and everywhere, anywhere, coast to coast. Like Mike De Niro, ladies and gentlemen. That is right.
What's good, everybody? Can't wait to get into this list and hear everyone else's list.
And the director himself as well that takes you coast to coast. The host himself with the most, because he directs you everywhere as well, and to listen to Fake Destroyed, especially one and only director. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest today. She's one of our biggest fans here on the show. See, this is one thing you guys could do as well. Give us the top 5. We'll get you on. And she gave us her top 5, and this is her to present. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome, of course, biggest fan here, Vanessa Vasquez, the General V.
What up, guys? Happy to be here, dude. It's an absolute honor. I'm really excited to, like you guys echoed, to get into the list and to see everybody else's, because honestly, to me, women's wrestling is the best wrestling. So I'm excited.
I will cheer for that. There you go.
This may be the first time, but
how to cheer for it, but yes, go ahead, director. Sorry.
No, I was saying this may be the first time, but it won't be the last time we'll be having Vanessa on for sure.
Oh, no,
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. If it's women's matches, anything you want, Vanessa, let us know. We'll do it. I am thrilled, man, and I'm honored for you to be here, and I'm very happy. Now, let's let people know that today's top 5, once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Vanessa's pick, and that is top 5 NXT women's matches. So that is right. We're going back, right from the beginning of the NXT. You could say the pioneer ones were 2014. You could say from Natalya, Charlotte, when they had that takeover. Even prior to that, we had Paige and AJB at that time as well. But these are the women that pioneered.
Blue pants.
Blue pants especially. But these are the women that pioneered the future of the current NXT women's division, that gave us incredible matches, fantastic, moments that we've seen not only just on pay-per-views, on takeovers, but also on regular NXT episodes as well. So today we're picking our top 5 of that. So we're not doing the spin today because we're saving Vanessa for last, because she is our guest for this evening. So we're gonna go red robin around. So I'll take it away first. I'll get out of the way. Might as well. That is right. I will get it out of the way. And all right, my number 5 will be, yes, and that is, Jesus, where is it? Wow, the fellow 4 horsewomen right here. That is right, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Sasha Banks, takeover rival, 2015 February 11th. Oh man, these women really put on a phenomenal show and a phenomenal matchup as well. And this is where we saw the gimmick change of Bayley as well. And this is where we're seeing more of the boss herself of that gimmick. And like I said, even when Becky Lynch, when she got rid of the other gimmick, I don't think it was last kicker. Yeah, I think that's where the last kicker was becoming to be born. Charlotte, of course, being the face, more the face here at this time. After defeating Natalya for the belt, and now she's more of the fair type. So, but this match overall was great. I really enjoyed it. It really solidified all these 4 women's careers in right now WWE, and pretty much they are you could say, the Mount Rushmore for those NXT. And I know that people may bash me on that, but it's the truth. Without these 4, women, we would not have what we currently have in this roster right now in this, NXT women's division. So, I mean, that's my number 5. My numero 4, number 4 will be, I really enjoyed this one. And this is an episode of NXT.
Yeah.
Yes, Nikki Cross and Asuka last women's standing match, June 28, 2017. This match right here, reminding everybody that at this tenure of Asuka at the time, well, she was the deadliest woman, and of course, man, them two going at it. Look at Nikki just smiling, like what the fuck? You just got counted up to 10, and how the hell did she just gonna be smiling? Why? Because the fact that Nikki was the only one here at this time that had Asuka's number, while Asuka was being the NXT Women's Champion. After all the women that she has competed against, Nikki was the one that was really close to kind of defeat Asuka at this moment in time. But this match on free TV, I was excited. I was livid. That superplex, my God, just to see that, it was so awesome, man. And this is my favorite run for Asuka as well, because this is not the only match that I have on my list for her. And that's my number 4. But my number 3 would be, of course, and that is NXT Takeover Ember Moon and Asuka to Brooklyn 3, August 19, 2017. This was another fantastic match between these two ladies, because another one that had Asuka's number. And this one, for me, I swear, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Ember was gonna win this one. Just with this right here, this maneuver, her eclipse, I thought, oh shit, this is over. She's gonna get pinned. But when Asuka got kicked out, the crowd, just hearing the crowd went, it just gave me goosebumps to this right now. Like, oh my God, I was off of my seat. Never thought that somebody would kick out of the eclipse, and Asuka did, and I was like, oh shit. And that's
I was there live. That crowd was insane for this match.
Right? Oh yeah. My God. Yes. Oh, insane. It was. Oh my God. I can say it was one of the matches of the year for that. On my opinion, but I know people are going to give different about it, like the community. But hey, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But for me, this one was, oh man, love it. Fabulous with with Ember Moon and Asuka. They put a hell of a performance that night. I can tell you that. And my number 2, because we finally get to see her shine, and I was happy that she got this one, and that is Mia Yim versus Io Shirai. And that is, of course, the ladder match on an episode of NXT. Oh, man, thank you so much, Courtney. Appreciate you. Well, Kofi Winston. Yes, we live.
Yo.
De Niro is really all in. Yes, he is. Yes,
Thanks.
He is.
I appreciate you noticing.
But then, oh, man. And this is where Mia Yim broke her nose.
Yeah.
You have to remember that. She broke her nose on this one. And this is the build-up for, you'll see what coming up. But yes, right there. Oh, my God. Kaylee Ray throwing Mia Yim. And the way how Mia Yim looked, oh, my God, she bounced off like horribly. But I feel this matchup itself kind of solidified Mia Yim's NXT career a bit more. I wish they could have kept her longer, and she could have been right now the NXT Women's Champion, in my opinion. Very underrated. It's not giving the credit was credit's due. And I'm happy to see her. She's doing great works at Impact. She's had a fantastic match just recently at Emergence against Jordan Grace. Hell of a show on that. And she's gonna be a future champ. And I'm hoping Impact sees that. And I'm hoping Paul probably could say, hey, you want to come back? And like, oh man, if he brings her back, I'll be so happy. Do it, Papa H. Bring Mia Yim back, because she deserves to have that run. Oh man, it sucks. Oh, damn you, Vince. Sad to say.
Triple H trying to get back all his kids. I hope she's one that he gets back for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely agree. I hope so. I hope she's one of them that he brings back. And of course, my numero uno. I know. I'm gonna say it right now. Everybody thinks it's gonna be the Brooklyn Takeover, Bayley, Sasha. Look, I'm gonna say this right now. I set that match when we said women's matches of all time in our previous top 5. Go to the archives, but I'll give them that respect. Of course, that's another one that really kind of pioneered every woman to have put a 7-star or a 7, 8 or 8 year match every takeover, takeover they have. But I'm not gonna use that one because it's like, nah. Let's just say they already built that for these women's now. Let's talk about the ones that are happening just within the last 7, 8 years. Talk about that. A little bit less than that. So my number 1 will be War Games. That is right. Shit. That is right. War Games. And that is Team Baszler versus Team Rhea. And this is NXT Takeover War Games 2019. And this is where Baszler, Bianca, Io, and Kaylee Ray versus Team Rhea, Ripley, Candace LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Tegan Knox. Why did I choose this one? Because this is the one that shocked the world when this happened. That's when we saw Dakota Kai turn
in the fucking face.
Yes. Oh my God.
I remember that moment. My heart still hurts for that.
I was shocked. I remember that. I was shocked.
I didn't expect that. None of us did. And to
do that in such a, I want to say convoluted, but I just mean like such a stacked roster of a card. Like there were 6 women in there, and you already are putting in this storyline of 2 women. Like you don't see that often. It's usually like in one-on-one or tag team battles, but like they threw this in this giant main event with so many already other personalities, and it was at the beginning of it too, I think, right?
Yeah, it was the first match.
That's literally what kicked off the show.
Yeah, wild move.
Oh man, this was yes, I love this. This War Games was awesome, man. This event, but this being the grand, the opening matchup. Woo. I love it, and it kind of really made it made Dakota Tegan, because in the following takeover you had their singles match they had in that matchup later on, and it made Candace as well, and Rhea, and man, and this was that time, that feature of NXT having those 8 women. It was phenomenal, that 2019, man. I think it was the best women's era by far right there. 2019 just awesome,
so stacked.
Hell yeah.
Honestly,
it's hard.
I think one of the things that I love most about that match is, for someone who's been watching women's wrestling for 25 plus years, watching it, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe we're in a time where we can see a match like this magnitude, but involving women. You know what I mean? Because that was unheard of before.
Yeah, most definitely.
Agreed, 100%. Man, that's my list, man.
That was
a hard list.
That was, memory lane for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to rewatch that War Games. I mean, I felt like that was just yesterday, even though it was almost, 4 years ago?
It's almost 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember watching it live. I don't know if it was with Vanessa, but I definitely do remember watching it live for sure. So
I think I saw you the day after, because I believe that was around the same time they had just done Survivor Series too. So Survivor Series was like the same weekend, and we hung out in Survivor.
Definitely.
That was one of the first shows that I watched with my fiance, who is not really a wrestling fan, but that opening match actually got her, and that's
amazing.
Yeah, she was a fan for the rest of the show. So, and only for the rest of the show, because now she's like, go watch your wrestling. But at least, that match had that type of impact on her.
All right, so De Niro, take it away.
All right, my number 5. We're going all the way back. It's NXT Arrival, Paige versus Emma. I feel like that was such a great matchup to showcase what type of wrestling NXT is giving to the women, because at this time we still didn't see the women's revolution on the main roster, but we were getting those matches on NXT when NXT was even NXT. I believe this was the first show that was on the WWE network. So NXT at the time was on Hulu. I believe it was on Hulu and maybe WWE.com. So it was really hard to watch NXT if you didn't have a Hulu account. So a lot of people didn't even know like that this type of wrestling was going down in NXT this whole time. But this matchup was amazing. This is right before Paige debuted on the main roster the night after WrestleMania 30. So this is like the first like introduction that people got to Paige. I believe Emma was already on the main roster and she was doing like her little dance with Santino and shit, right? But I think that she showed that she could actually go on NXT because she was still in NXT even though she was already on the main roster and put on a hell of a match with Paige. I remember watching this. This was my first NXT show I ever watched. And I was instantly hooked in. And I was like, wow, these women are really killing it. So just for like memory's sake, I got to give it to them. That was a great matchup.
Yeah, and Paige to me will always be one of the greatest of all time. That's never in the conversation of greatest of all time.
Yeah,
she, I think, like her and AJ Lee, like they, in my opinion, kicked off the Revolution. They just didn't make it to the Revolution. Their careers were ended just shy of the new Four Horsewomen. The dream matches that you could have had between like Paige and Banks or AJ and Bayley, like all the like fantasy booking through the roof. They were just.
They laid the groundwork for sure.
Absolutely. They were just gone too soon.
For sure. Nah, I totally agree. My number 4 is the first NXT Takeover 1, Charlotte versus Natalya. I love this matchup, especially for they really played off of the family lineage on both women. You had Bret Hart and Ric Flair, who I think even at this time they still had a little bit of like a professional rivalry. So it was really cool to see Bret Hart and Ric Flair ringside for supporting their family members. Charlotte was still coming into her own, but you start to see glimpses of what we see now in Charlotte. And I thought that this was a matchup where she really showed what she could become and what she ended up becoming. And it was really cool to see a veteran like Natalya go down to NXT and mix it up with them. I believe this was after Paige had to relinquish the title because she went up to the main roster. She relinquished the title, and then they had a tournament, and it came down to Natalya and Charlotte. And this matchup was just great. It was a technical masterpiece, I think. It's really underrated, and I think that people should go back and watch this matchup because not only did it have the drama, it had great wrestling. You had legends on the outside. Really awesome matchup. And it was really cool to see a legend like Natalya give back and put over the young upstart in Charlotte and giving her that push to like go on and be a champion. I thought that was a really good matchup.
I agree. It was.
My number 3 is Bayley, Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha. We talked about it before. This was Takeover Rival. And this was a great matchup. But if you think about where all 4 of these women are now, it's just amazing to think that they all shared the ring with each other. I think this was the last time, too. They never had a 4-way again, like on the main roster, did they?
No.
Like to think about the four horsewomen, right? To think about the women's revolution that was surrounded by these 4 women. This matchup basically was the catalyst to start that. Absolutely. I think that it was an amazing matchup too. Everyone shined. Becky Lynch, I believe she at the time, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't she teaming up with Sasha Banks? She was like Sasha Banks, like lackey or whatever. And she and then she broke her out into her own. And this was like one of the first times we've seen Becky Lynch on her own, and she delivered. Everyone delivered. I thought this was a phenomenal matchup for every reason that I haven't already said. Like, it was one of my favorite matches.
It's funny, really quick. I just want to say that match was on my list, but then I, did some rearranging and was like, okay. But to me, that match solidified them right away. Like, right off the bat, you were watching it thinking these 4 are going to be the 4 women that carry the company. And it's so crazy because they have. It's just watching it, you knew that they were going to be special.
It definitely was. My number 2 was Asuka and Nikki Cross. I love this matchup. This last women's standing matchup was insane. For everything that Ivan said, like, this was just craziness, And I love the fact that you mentioned how Nikki Cross was really playing on the character and was like laughing after the matchup, even though she lost, because it just added so much to Nikki Cross, that aura around her, that she's just like a deranged woman who's willing to put her body through anything to get that title. And, she kind of reminded me in that moment, she reminded me a lot of Raven. Like, she likes the pain, and she thrives off getting hurt and hurting people. So I really love that matchup. Asuka had one of the most legendary title runs in NXT. She never even lost the title, if you remember. She held the title for like over a year and then just relinquished it. Yeah, to go up to the main roster. Mm-hmm. Such a crazy matchup, though. All the spots, the women, they got the main event spot that night, and it was well deserved. Insane stuff. I love this era for Nikki Cross too. I thought she was best when she was with Sanity and with Eric Young and the crew. It was just a great team, and she added so much to that team.
I agree.
She had a chant at the time. I don't know if it was Nikki's gonna kill you or Nikki knows.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nikki's gonna kill you.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that was happening during this match at some point. But
the crowd was really getting behind her in the gimmick too, which was awesome. And
I love the whole storyline. Like, not to get too far into it, but like the thing that she saw between Gargano and Ciampa, and she was in the middle, and she would just walk around.
Yeah.
Fucking might be the greatest storyline in NXT history. Nikki Cross was the center of it. Loved it.
Yeah, most definitely. I really want to see her get back to this. Like, I'm not feeling the Nikki ASH shit.
I don't think anybody likes it. I feel like she got punished for something. I feel like she acted a fool on an airplane.
It was her idea. I just found that out.
You know why? I'm gonna say why. Because
it was her idea.
It was her idea. The why? Because they have nothing else planned for her. Vince was already going to write her off TV. There was nothing planned after the whole Alexa Bliss tag teamings. So they didn't know what to do with her after that. So she came up with the idea, hey, let's do like a superhero gimmick. Let's go like how it was with the Hurricane and, of course, rest in peace. I forgot his name. I can't believe Rosie, yeah.
I was going to say, I didn't know who you were going with on that one, but yes, definitely.
So she came up with the idea, and Vince loved it. Like, hey, I love it, pal. Let's go. And then he just
so bad it's good.
So bad it's good shit.
I was just on Top Rope Wrestling Talk, and I told Dom, since she's going to be a part of the Worlds Collide card, I was like, I hope that now that she's back in NXT, we could go back to that gimmick. And I said how she must be hating this Nikki ASH gimmick, and he was like, no, she created the gimmick. I was like, what? I didn't expect that. I thought she was getting punished too.
I definitely thought she like tripped over someone's suitcase or some shit.
You're right.
But I'm noticing little tease though that she's been like the last one she kind of kissed Raw. She kissed the cape goodbye, and you see Piper Niven. I ain't gonna call her Dewdrop, but Piper Niven. She comes and then
I don't call her
the Piper, motherfucker.
And then like seeing her, what are you doing? What are you kissing goodbye to to the cape? I'm seeing a tease, and I'm hoping. And then seeing that jean jacket she's wearing, I'm like, all right, can we see the comeback of the psychotic Nikki Cross?
Bring back the Sanity music.
Oh my God! If she comes back, me too. Okay,
that'd be
just
awesome.
For that, I'll have to do it. Yes, I had to plan her style. But I would. Hey, you know what? Just think about it. That'll be a great tag team. Just having, they are right now, but getting rid of that gimmick for Nikki and taking her back to the Sanity. And Dewdrop becoming again Piper Niven. Man. Oh.
Yeah.
They would
dominate
the tag team.
Scotland too?
Scotland? Yeah. Are they both? I thought
they're both from Scotland.
I've never heard Piper actually talk, so I cannot confirm. Let's find out.
I feel like they're both from Scotland. I want to say yes, but
I thought she was Irish.
So.
Yep, she is from Scotland.
She's Scotland. Okay, so they're both from Scotland. Oh, I like that.
It would be perfect.
Yes,
exactly. No, you gotta go back to the original gimmicks for sure.
Oh my God, that'll be so insane, dude. Oh my, Triple H.
I definitely wouldn't mind
Make it
having
happen.
them hold the tag titles either, too. Like
Right? I wouldn't mind that either. I'm with you. If they allow Nikki and Piper to have their old gimmicks back and just have even Piper be like, I don't want to compare her like that, but kind of like Havoc from Impact. Like kind of like her, like in a way. If you, it will remind me like a Rosemary Havoc, like team, like an Impact that they have currently.
That'd be so sick, man.
I would actually like to see that match.
Oh,
Nevins and Nikki Cross versus Rosemary and Havoc. Shit.
Oh,
that'd be awesome.
Dream matches right now.
Right?
Oh my God, hell yeah, that'd be so awesome. All right.
And my number one is, of course, I was there live. Most legendary match I feel in NXT. Sasha Banks versus Bayley Takeover, Brooklyn.
You.
Man, this matchup was just phenomenal. Like I remember when she hit the belly to Bailey, or was it Bailey to belly, whatever she called it.
Belly,
yeah, when she hit that from the top rope. Insane. The poison Rana she hit, like these were moves that you weren't used to seeing in WWE. Like WWE wrestled a more conservative style, especially at this point, and we were seeing, you would see these moves on like the indies, you would see poison Rana, and you wasn't seeing that here, especially with the women. So I thought that this was really innovative. This was way ahead of its time because this is what it becomes, and I think that it's the match that made Bayley a megastar. I think it's the match that made Sasha Banks a megastar. I love that Sasha Banks had the whole intro, or the special entrance. I believe she came out on like a car or something.
Yeah, it was like an Escalade or something like that.
Yeah, she got like that special entrance. I thought it was really cool. It was hard though for me because as great as this match was, it was a toss-up for me to either pick this one or the last woman standing, the Iron Woman match that these two had. Because I thought that was another phenomenal matchup too. But I think that this edged it out a little bit more just because I was there live. But really good matchup. I enjoyed this. And if I don't know who hasn't seen this matchup, but for all our listeners, if you haven't seen this matchup, please go out of your way. This was a phenomenal matchup on an excellent card because this card was super stacked, but this matchup stole the show 100%.
100%. Love it. And,
the horsewomen were, the two that weren't in the ring were ringside watching too, I believe, right? Like cheering them on.
They were in the back watching it.
Okay, then I'm confusing that.
I think they were in the back and then they came out afterwards.
Yeah, they came out after.
Because I know there is another one where they were ringside watching, but that might be something else.
I believe that was the last woman standing. No, not the last woman. Gosh, I keep saying that. The Iron Woman match. Yeah.
Right, okay. Cool.
I think they were all of them on ringside when it was the Mae Young's Classic when they first started. All of them were there. That I do remember.
Oh, and all four.
That was cool.
Oh man, yes.
Yeah, here's my list.
Right. Man, awesome list. Love it. Love it.
Thank
They're
you.
right there. Take it away.
What's up? Number 5. Probably the only one not on any of your lists. Dead giveaway. Pun intended. Halloween Havoc 2020. Io Shirai versus Candace LeRae. The tables, ladders, and scares match. How original was the wheel with Shotzi Blackheart spinning it, and whatever you get, you get? Did nobody like that?
What was it? Match. Spin the wheel, make the deal, or something?
Yeah. You don't know
I love that.
You don't know what the gimmick is of the match until the match starts.
I love how that was a play towards the old Halloween Havoc idea, because that used to be what WCW did for like the early Halloween Havoc, like 92, 93 era.
Yeah, I loved it. And then obviously the match, which was definitely planned, was the ladder match. And Candace LeRae, who is a hometown girl, I do believe she's from Fullerton, which I'm from a neighborhood right next to it. Let me make sure that's true. She's definitely from Orange County. She might be from like
Pomona. It's like Orange County, and then I think she also is built from Riverside, California. Sometimes.
Yeah, I know Mia Yim is from Pomona for sure, which is another like neighborhood near me. But Candace LeRae was known in the Indies for her hardcore, her garbage wrestling. Not when I say garbage, I mean like backyard, like trash cans and ladders and chairs. Not like bad wrestling, but like, you know, like New Jack style. She was kind of the female New Jack for a while. She got her ass beat by the Young Bucks.
I love that match. Oh my God.
Guerrilla Warfare.
I think she beat Orange Cassidy once. Like, she is a wild child. And this match proves it on the big stage where she got slung off the top of the ladder to the outside, allowing Io Shirai, the genius of the sky, to get that belt. Absolutely number 5, just because I wanted a non-traditional – I wanted a hardcore match on my list, and I found it. And this is the perfect match to make my number 5 for sure. Yeah, goddamn. My number 4 was – it's on everybody's list. It was the Horsewomen versus each other. Nobody knew who was going to win this, but a lot of people, I think, kind of thought it was going to go to the Queen Charlotte, which would have made sense, but they gave it to Banks. She hit the bank statement, and she didn't even try to finish with the bank statement. She rolled it into that surprise crucifix, which is super clever because Charlotte probably knows how to get out of the bank statement. Didn't see the surprise roll up for the 1, 2, 3. Making Banks the greatest wrestler in the history of all time at the time. Little sisterhood going on after where like Charlotte's like, hey, like you beat me, fair play, let's be friends. And Banks was like, the fuck we are, and shoved her. Like, you never see the winner turn down the handshake like that. That was so, pun intended, so boss. I loved it. My number 3 was Bayley versus Banks at Brooklyn. I know it was a huge passing of the torch, but for the same reasons that your Iron Woman match was not your number 1, this is also not my number 1. Even though it's still great, it was an indie darling spectacular. You were seeing moves that you'd only seen like Ricochet and AJ Styles pull off.
Yeah.
When women proved that they were not just the Camerons and the Michelle McCools. No shade. The Aaliyahs.
Rosa Mendez.
No shade.
Eva Marie.
The Eva Marie's. No shade.
Preach.
This opened the world's eyes for sure. Top rope fiasco, the Bayley to belly. No one saw Bayley winning this. It was a passing of the torch. Just within the torch passing amongst the 4 of them, Bayley was always the runt of the group. She was the comedy gimmick. She kind of seemed like if NXT was Mean Girls, she was Lindsay Lohan, and the rest were the Queen Bees. She was just kind of there, and she proved that she deserved to be there in the ring with this match for sure. That was my number 3, right? All right, cool.
Yeah.
My number 2. What is my number 2? Oh, okay, of course. Asuka Ember Moon, Brooklyn number 3. If anybody was going to beat Asuka that I would not have been upset about, it probably would have been Ember Moon. Anybody else, I would have been like, bullshit. Asuka winning that match kind of surprised me, but seeing what happened to her career after that, how she retired her championship, made a lot of sense. Going on to spoiler alert, her winning streak was given to Charlotte to defeat. Very similar to the Undertaker thing, where like they built it up, and they wanted to give that win to someone where it probably mattered a little bit more on a much bigger stage. And as much as I don't like that it did happen, I'm glad it at least happened to Charlotte at WrestleMania. And Asuka and Ember not winning, it just made it that much more prestige when she finally did lose. But yeah, motherfucker, that totally clips from the top. Holy shit. I don't think anyone in NXT had ever kicked out of that. That was like the one-winged angel of NXT. Just once you got ended with that, you were not kicking out. And Asuka kicked out, surprise roll-up, countered it from an armbar into the Asuka lock, and nobody was ready for Asuka.
Hell yeah.
All I can say is that match that you mentioned about Charlotte and Asuka, you know you could bet in wrestling, and I fucking did it. It
had to happen. I don't like it.
I lost money.
I freaking hated it.
I'm not saying I liked it at all, but yeah, they had to bring Asuka down and peg her.
I get what you mean about like it had to happen, because I agree. Like all streaks must come to an end at some point. But much like Brock Lesnar defeating Undertaker, I felt like it shouldn't have been Charlotte either. I get it. Like Charlotte is their golden girl, and it is very much presented that way. But I don't want to upset some people here, but I'm going to say it. I definitely don't think Charlotte Flair is the best women's wrestler. A lot of people like to say she is, but I don't think that. And I think that like that accolade should have been defeated, but not by Charlotte.
For real.
I would agree.
I think Charlotte was the most realistic person to do it. If you were gonna make it mean something, it would have meant a lot less if it was to anybody else, in my opinion. Just like with the Taker Lesnar thing. The story of Taker, and I'll get into this really quickly because it's not the topic of the show, but the story of Lesnar beating Taker at WrestleMania, that wasn't the story. The story was that was supposed to lull the crowd down and bum them out just to make the Daniel Bryan win that much more powerful.
Yeah.
That match
makes sense.
was not intended for that was not the story of Undertaker losing was only to hype up the emotional depression that people had.
That's fair.
For the Yes movement.
It's very smart. Very smart observation.
That's exactly what they did. You can't tell me otherwise. It's just like when they used to put women's matches before the main event in WrestleMania. They would bore the fuck out of you, and then you would have this awesome WrestleMania. They'd have you go get your beer, go take your piss, and then come back main event. That's sort of what they did with that. That's sort of what
Shit is so different now. It's so crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Now the women are the main event.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
WrestleMania.
Love it.
Mhm.
I love it.
But first, I've got an honorable mention.
Mm.
I'm gonna do an honorable mention before number one.
What's going on, young Anthony? There you
It's
go. Let's see.
I believe it was I don't know what year it was. Vanessa knows this off the top of her head. My only honorable mention: Kyrie Sane versus Shayna Baszler Mae Young Classic.
Yeah, that was 2018. I believe.
Didn't make any fucking sense that Shayna didn't win that, but it did. It sort of did, but it didn't. Oh my god, I have no idea what the fuck they were thinking, but it was awesome. Shayna had in the Cucina, what did she call it? The Cucina clutch? The Carafuda clutch, which same fucking thing.
So what was your number one?
Close enough.
I didn't.
Yeah, this is honorable mention.
This is I do my honorable mention first.
I forgot to get mine. Shit.
This is to go take your piss match. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, Shayna was an all-in. You bet the house on Shayna to win this, and this is when Kyrie she back rolled out of it and got the pin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking genius. Love it. And then that set up future matches where Kyrie would go for that move, and Shayna was ready for it, and she would counter the counter, and then she would get out, and she would get a revenge. I think taking the belt from her at some point, which that was the storyline. And the Mae Young Classic itself is a beautiful farm club for everyone who was the future of pro wrestling. Bianca Belair came out of Mae Young Classic. Almost everybody who wasn't in the original NXT came out of the Piper Evans.
Ripley,
Tay Conte or Tay Melo Guevara. Sorry,
Tony Storm.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I forgot. It was shit. It was Tay Conti in there. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I know her from. She was heralded as like the judoka. Which now brings me to my number one, a match you guys, none of you had on here. How could you not? Huge Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 12 fan. This got me right in the feels, the first ever Iron Women's match. You got to love it. The best drama in the history of NXT. There was a count out that added to the score charts. That didn't happen before. Fucking wild. The timing. The ref had to be in their ear telling them how much time was left because at 2-2 with 3 seconds left, Banks tapped. Or got pinned. She tapped to like strikes. She was in like an armbar, but then like she started getting kicked in the head. So it was like a TKO submission victory. Yeah. And the real passing of the torch for Bayley. She may have won that first match against Banks, but this is the one that solidified her as a legendary wrestler, not a one-time, winner, someone who could get the job done and control the crowd. I remember Bayley girl being outside. Is this where Sasha was talking bad shit to her?
Yeah, this is where she
Oh, she cried.
This was heel heat at its finest.
It was brutal.
I gotta look for that picture.
She was like 7, and Banks is going in on her. She wasn't crying at first, and Banks stood there until she cried.
Didn't she grab something off her? I thought she grabbed like the headband off her side.
Yeah. She
bro,
ripped her
off a kid. Insane.
And then to with all fair respect, after the match, Banks went over to her and like hugged her and apologized. And you said, we love you, and they squashed it, which was beautiful to see. But dude, the match itself, fucking full 29 minutes and 57 seconds of insanity for sure. Yeah. Go back. Was that Eddie Kingston front row? Go back to the last picture, right there on the top right with the "I'm huggable." No, that's not Eddie Kingston.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
I think Sonya Deville's front row though, right there. Sonya Deville is right. No, is that Billie Kay? That's definitely Billie Kay, right there behind Bayley's elbow.
Yeah, that's it. It looked like her.
I think you might be right. Though.
I think it might be right. That might have been Billie Kay. But no,
I'm gonna look at that picture now.
If you have the time to watch 30-minute match. Watch this match. It'll feel like it breezes by. It breezes by. It's just action packed. They don't do the thing where they hold a submission for like 10 minutes to run the clock. This is action packed every second of it.
And that what's crazy about that match is that it was the main event of a takeover, and that was the first time that had like happened for the women in NXT. And I remember watching. I think it was like the Breaking Ground episode on it or something. I forget. But they did like this whole backstage thing where like Hunter went to Sasha and Bayley and was like, "We want you guys to do this one more time." Yeah, that was crazy.
Your mom is Ruby Riott. Her dad is
Oh, yeah. Oh, he made her cry. Oh, she made her cry. Horrible. Damn you, Sasha. Why did you make her?
What made it like more intense was right before she ripped off the headband. I think Sasha had like just thrown Bayley into the like LED boards or whatever, and like that's when the countdown happened. So, oh shit, Bayley's losing now. You know what I mean? So there Izzy is watching her favorite lose, and then Sasha just goes and rips off the headband, and it's just like in your face. It was great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I found it. Yes. Okay, I found it. Let me put it for you. Oh yes, this is the one. Right? I know exactly what type of it. So yep. Oh damn it! Hold on, let me delete.
You had it.
Come on, I just had it. Let me add it. Damn it!
Technical difficulties.
Hold on, there we go. There you go.
You see, like right there in her face.
Straight
at his finest. And all these grown-ups watching another grown-up bully a kid. Look at that. Come on. Do better, people. Do better, people.
What's great is that match is going to happen. She's going to fight Sasha Banks. It's going to be just like that picture of
AJ and Rita.
AJ Lee and Rita.
Rita.
Yeah, she's like, I'm going to wrestle you in 20 years, and I'm also going to take your man.
She better come out with the inflatable wacky people.
That would be amazing. No, I definitely agree. I think Izzy is definitely going to be.
I was trying to remember her name.
In wrestling in some form. I mean, she already is.
She's wrestling now for sure. She's down in Florida somewhere.
Yeah, she's training up in Florida. I don't know if she's training with CCW, with Gangrel's training asylum. I don't know if she's there or I don't know where exactly she is, but she's currently training. So and she has her own podcast. It's going great for her. So I'm really happy for Izzy. Wow. And she's more of an AEW mark than WWE. I'll tell you that. Because most of her, like all her posts is more AEW than WWE.
Well, her father's in AEW.
Wait, what?
Eddie Kingston.
Oh, no.
and Ruby Soho.
Ruby Soho. You got to make a meme off of that. Oh hell no. She'd be fucking pissed.
Yeah, when Chris said Eddie kicks that kill me.
All right. But let's do the floor is yours.
Man, what is up? All right. I feel like my list is going to like surprise a lot of people. Maybe not so much. There's a lot that's like, that weren't on any of your guys' on your list, but it's funny because Chris, this is how you know that we're brother and sister, because one of your matches was Io Shirai and Candace Larae at Halloween Havoc, but my number 5 is actually the first time that they faced each other, which was NXT Takeover Toronto. I love this match because I rewatched it today actually too, and I forgot how hard hitting it was, and it was kind of like one of the last minute matches that was put on for that card because we had already had Mia Yim versus Shayna Baszler set up for that night. And this match, I remember Io Shirai had newly turned heel. She turned against Candace LeRae. Candace LeRae was heartbroken. And immediately, as soon as that bell rang, it was almost like they told each other, all right, let's beat the living shit out of each other, because they were hitting each other so damn hard. I remember there was a bunch of suicide dives. There was this point where Io Shirai just got thrown into the announcer's table. Candace LeRae got kicked in the face multiple times. I thought that match was actually better than Shayna Baszler versus Mia Yim, and it kind of makes me sad to say that because y'all know I love Shayna, but
I don't disagree, to be honest. I'm with you 100%, honestly.
I was going to say I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that match kind of surprise people because again it was put on very late last minute, and it was the second women's match on the card, and I don't think anybody expected it to be as good as it was, but it was super good. And I think Candace LeRae is super underrated. I feel like her career in NXT could have been so much better. I mean, I don't know if she's coming back to WWE. I would assume so because her husband's back. But I don't know. It kind of makes me sad because Candace never got a main, title. She only had the NXT tag titles, and she only had it for a day or two, something like that. It was like a very short reign. But yeah, I fucking love that match, and that's my 5. Just because I love it, and just because I didn't expect it to be that good, and it surprised me. So that's my number 5.
Love it.
My number 4. again, this one wasn't on anybody's list. And for this one, I'm going across the pond because we're going to be talking about NXT UK. And this is the match between Kaylee Ray, now known as Alba Fry. I don't know how much I love that name, but whatever. But Kaylee Ray versus Nico Satamora. It was March 4th, 2021, and it was the main event of NXT UK. And it was one of the best, if in my opinion, one of the best matches of the pandemic era. You know, because it was back when they were in the Performance Center with no crowd or anything, and it was just the LED boards and all of that stuff. But to me, this match is very reminiscent of Dragunov and Walter. Like, it's that version for women. Because there was so many false finishes. There was so much like, oh shit, like Nico, her finisher, and Kaylee Ray kicked out. Kaylee Ray would hit her finisher, and Nico would kick out. It was just like back and forth the whole entire time. You had no idea where it was going. At this point, Kaylee Ray had been holding the title for 551 days at this point. And everybody thought, all right, Nico Satamora is going to be the one to beat her because, you know, Nico is the final boss. And everyone thought, like, that's how that match was going to go. But Kaylee Ray pulled out an upset and beat her with a freaking Cory bomb. There were so many times I thought she was going to lose because at one point, like, there was a spot where Miko was like working on her leg, and I was like, is this injury legit or is she just selling it really well right now? And I was very happy to see Kaylee Ray come in with a win. But it's funny though because like it was like 98 days later they had their rematch, and that's where Miko won. And that was a total of 649 days of her reign, and that was probably my favorite match from that reign. And again, Kaylee Ray, to me, another super underrated superstar. Are we using that word now? Do we call them wrestlers now? I don't know. But,
anything you like to call them. Like, I guess whatever Triple H is.
Yeah. I mean, Drew McIntyre broke the ceiling on that one, so I think
you're a wrestler. I'm a wrestler. Let's freaking wrestle.
It was great. But no, I definitely think that match is my number 4 it was funny because I wasn't sure if we were allowed to like do NXT UK, and I had to like ask Chris. I was like, "Does that count?" I mean, it's technically the NXT brand.
It's literally NXT, so you're all good.
Yeah.
So, and then when he said yes, that's why I had to like rearrange my list because, again, I said that the Fatal 4-Way was on my list, but I took it off to put this one in there because I don't know, it was just the first time, not the first time, but I guess the first time in a long time that I saw women like legit like beating the shit out of each other. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
Do they really not like each other right now? You know what I mean? It was kind of like that feeling to it. So that's my number 4. My number 3 is on here for a lot of sentimental reasons, and it's funny because it's kind of sort of what Chris was alluding to in his honorable mention, except this is the second time. It is Kyrie Sane defending her NXT Women's Championship against Shayna Baszler at Evolution. Love that match because, one, it was the first time that an NXT championship was defended on a main roster pay-per-view. Not only that, but it was the first ever all-women's pay-per-view. And, of course, Shayna Baszler was involved in it. Jessamine Duke was involved in it. Marina Shafir was involved in it. And if anybody knows me personally, like I know Chris knows, like
the real 4 horsewomen.
The real 4 horsewomen right there, exactly. And you know, like those girls are legitimately like my homies. I love them like with every fiber of my being. So to see all of them like in that ring and like in a monumental event like Evolution, like that meant so much to me. Shayna won with the Karafuda. You know, Kyrie Sane passed out. It was cool because it was the first time that a woman had held the NXT Women's Championship 2 times. Thus, Shayna 2-time was born, you know, and I don't know. That's on my list simply. And I love that part, too, exactly where she was hanging her from the ropes. I was like, oh, now this girl gonna pass out. Like, it was so good, and it just made me happy. Like, major serotonin boost in all the ways, and it was just so cool to see Shayna have that moment. But again, like I said, in an all women's pay-per-view, something that, to be honest, I never thought we would live to see, and it was kind of crazy that was.
They gotta do it again.
I want them to do it again.
They definitely should.
Like, why haven't they? Hopefully now with Triple H in charge that they do it again, because I feel like he could see value in that, and I feel like Vince didn't see the value in that. And to me, that pay-per-view was one of the best pay-per-views that year, and it was just like, this can, it shows you that women can go. So definitely that's my third, because like I said, for sentimental reasons, I cried. I watched that match so many times too. It's such a good match.
Awesome.
My number 2, it also involves Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler versus Rita Ripley on the December 19th edition, 2019 NXT. It was the last match of 2019, and it was right before the pandemic. And this is when Rhea Ripley defeated Shayna Baszler. And, she defeated her, and after that, there was a big old celebration. There was a literal mosh pit in the ring.
It was like God, I'm trying to think of the metaphor they used, or I may have made up myself. It was like Ding Dong, the witch is dead. Like, you got rid of her.
Exactly.
Deal. Like, everybody was just, they just could not wait for Shayna to get her comeuppance, because at the time she was breaking fingers and arms and not letting go of holds.
Yeah.
I had actually written it down. Shayna had the belt for 416 days before Rhea Ripley went and took it away from her. And as a major fan of both Shayna and Rhea, I loved this feud so much. I remember when Shayna came out with Marina and Jessamine, and she went in the middle of the ring and was like, I've beaten everybody that there is to beat in NXT. No one can stop me. And then this is my brutality. Hits. Rhea comes out and she's like, you say that you've beaten everyone here, but you haven't beaten me, bitch. And I was like, oh
yes.
It was so fucking good. The build to this match was so perfect. They had wrestled before this, and Rhea got disqualified because she beat the shit out of Shayna with the chair. This match was so good. I was rewatching it this morning, and I had forgotten there was a point where Rhea Ripley had inadvertently knocked down the referee, and she hits the riptide, and she has Shayna pinned for legit 10 seconds, and the crowd's counting 1, 2, 3, and it's like, dude, she won. What the fuck? So she goes and she goes and gets the referee and pulls him by his shirt to wake him up, come on, get back in the match. And then again, the moment where Shayna had the Karafuda locked in on Rhea Ripley, and you could tell Rhea Ripley was in pain, thought about tapping out, but instead she grabbed the referee by the shirt so that way she wouldn't tap out. It was just so good. And then
a lot of drama in that match.
A lot of drama.
Yeah.
And then the riptide from the top rope, the avalanche.
Yeah, that was so fucking.
Dude, it was so fucking good. 1, 2, 3 again ended a reign that a lot of people didn't think was gonna end. It was something that we had never seen before, aside from Asuka, And again, Asuka is beloved, Shayna not so much. So everybody wanted this to happen, and I think by Rhea defeating Shayna, it showed that Rhea was kind of the next star to pay attention to, essentially. So that is my number 2. My number 1, before we get to it, I also have an honorable mention really quickly. I can't remember when exactly it took place. I want to say it was 2019. No, I want to say it was 2018, maybe 2019. I don't know. It was Io Shirai versus Shayna Baszler in a steel cage match. And it was right before Io turned heel. And it was that whole stipulation about if Shayna beats Io one more time, Io will never be able to challenge for the NXT Women's Championship again. And I remember thinking oh shit, this is gonna be where Shayna loses. It wasn't, because Shayna had again the Karafuda locked in on her. I don't know if you guys remember, but the cage door was open, and then Io hit Shayna with the cage door and it like knocked Shayna out, so Shayna fell outside and she like won by default. Like that shit was crazy. That's my honorable mention.
I got you in that picture. Hold on, I got it. And there you go.
It was so good. Like I remember thinking like, oh damn, she like won by the skin of her teeth essentially.
Literally.
And number one, now it's time officially. My number one. This is not going to surprise me. This doesn't surprise anybody, I feel. Again, Sasha Banks versus Bayley at NXT Takeover Brooklyn. I mean, even though that match is like what 7 years old now at this point, like to me, it still is the bar for women's wrestling. Yeah. I just feel like I remember watching it that night, thinking like, shit is different now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, shit isn't how it was when I was like 5 years old, 7 years old, watching bra and panty matches, watching, you know, jello matches and pudding matches. Like, it was different. And I think what made that match so special too is the crowd was legitimately invested. Like, the whole entire time they were on fire. And I honestly think the crowd is kind of what makes wrestling, which is why it was so weird to watch wrestling in the pandemic era because we didn't have, you know, any fans. But I just remember, again, you mentioned the Poison Rana, the Bayley to belly from the top rope. Like, Bayley, I don't know if you guys know. I know Chris knows for sure, but Bayley, like, is my number one favorite wrestler, like, above everyone. So, like, to see her have that moment, it was like, finally, you know what I mean? Like, finally, because again, you guys even mentioned, like, she's kind of the one that's often forgot about. Like, even now, she's still the one that people kind of just ignore, essentially. And, like, to me, that moment, again, solidified her as someone important. And, I don't know, just the whole, like, story of that match, too, and I love their in-ring work. To me, Bayley and Sasha have the best chemistry as far as like wrestlers in the ring together. And then I also remember watching the Untold Story on the WWE Network, now Peacock, about how when this match happened, they were telling them to tone it down. They were like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, women wrestlers are not supposed to do that, you know what I mean? But essentially they kind of said, like, screw you, we're going to do what we want to do, and they pulled off this amazing match. And to be honest, this is a match that I go back and watch, like, multiple times. It's my comfort match. It's kind of, like, what I watch when I'm in a bad mood or, like, when I'm, like, bored and want to, you know, be entertained. I always go back to this match, and I don't know, it meant so much to me. And again, I think it set the bar for women's wrestling. I think it still sets the bar for women's wrestling. You look at people like Indy Hartwell, people like Britt Baker that talk about this match and say that them watching this match is what made them want to be a professional wrestler. So it's just kind of crazy to think that even though it was only 8 years ago, it's still kind of inspiring so many people out there, you know?
I'll tell you what, like, I remember leaving there. That was not the main event. The ladder match between Finn Balor and Kevin Owens was the main event. But I remember leaving there, and even on the train ride home, like the few people that was on my train, like at least like for a 20, 30-minute ride, people were only talking about this matchup. And that's why I knew it was special, because you had so many matches. You had the debut of Jushin Liger, who never was in the WWE. Comes to the WWE, he's on this show. Samoa Joe's first takeover match was here. And then you have everybody talking about this matchup between Sasha Banks and Bayley. That's when I was like, yeah, I just saw history. So for sure, like, the crowd really recognized that they were witnessing history.
And I think kind of, too, what made it special, too, is I don't know if you guys remember, but it was around the time Dusty Rhodes had just passed away. And so Bayley came out with the Dusty Rhodes, like, headband and, like, the wrist tape. And there was, like, this moment where, like, Sasha was slapping the crap out of Bayley and was like, you're not good enough. You'll never be good enough. Like, I'm better than you. And just Bayley just came back with such a force and kind of was like, I'm going to prove you wrong and I'm going to become this champion. And I also think that's why, like, it meant so much to me, too, because, you know, underneath Bayley, what she truly is, and I mean, it kind of showed in her gimmick, too, is that she's a fan of pro wrestling. like even now it shows so much with her working with Dakota Kai and Io Sky. You know, like it just shows that she cares about women's wrestling and cares about the division. And for me, like, I don't know how many of you guys know this too, but it's like I always wanted to be like a professional wrestler. Obviously, I couldn't do that because of physical limitations. But for me, like Bayley is
that guy. What's his name? The kid with the leg.
Zach Gowen.
Zach Gowen. Yeah, I knew that. I just couldn't think of it. Don't sell yourself short, Vanessa. You have more legs than Zach Gowen.
That's fair. I do have more legs.
They just don't go vertical.
they just don't work. But seriously, like Bayley is the wrestler that I would have been in a sense. You know what I mean? Like I look at her, I'm like, I love her style of wrestling. I love her personality, whether she's face or heel. I love Bayley. So like that alone, her winning that match, like it sticks out to me, and to this day, it's my favorite match for sure.
That's an amazing list. Amazing list.
Absolutely.
I love how
to this day.
By the way, I noticed Chris looking like a mob boss with his cat.
he does that sometimes.
My precious.
Kind of reminds me of Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, I love Dr. Claw for sure.
Dr. Claw, yes, Inspector Gadget right there. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic links from everyone, especially from our guest here. Vanessa, you killed it, man. Awesome.
Sure.
We appreciate you for coming on. And if you have another one, always. The doors is right open. Anytime you have another one, let us know, and we'll make it happen. We will make it happen. That is right. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate all of you guys for taking the time for tuning in here on this Friday evening. And, of course, not forget, of course, to subscribe and follow us on our social media platforms, all over at Circle Debate and the YouTube channel, of course, and follow the Wrestling Delorean Podcast as well on Twitter and Instagram as well. And catch them here on the COD channel. And he might be having a special episode tomorrow, Wrestling Delorean, a recap of WWE Clash at the Castle. Yes, and I'll be there. It'll be 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Central, and 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So I'll be there recapping with De Niro in regards for Clash at the Castle will be tomorrow.
You guys are welcome too if you guys want to hop on talk about Clash at the Castle.
No doubt. Right. I'm not a morning person, and I'm like, oh god, I got to get up at like 9:40 to make.
Yeah, you guys are gonna be eating breakfast. You guys are gonna be drinking your coffee and watching Clash at the Castle. At least I got it at 1 o'clock.
Fucking, it's 9 p.m. here. I'm gonna go put coffee on right now.
There you go. That's right. And don't forget to buy our merch. They should have been buy our fucking merch for God's sakes. There you have it.
Coffee tastes better in the Circle Debate coffee cup.
That's right. And the tumbler right there. Get the t-shirts, the pillow.
Hell yeah, buy the merch.
And you got the chanclas there. I said one more time, we got the sandals now. The chanclas for all your ladies out there. You want to whoop your son's or your husband's ass or your side man. Right there, you can throw them that chancla because that chancla is dangerous. That's for sure. I can tell you that.
Trust me.
That is right. That is right. And also, once again, for all our SoCal pro wrestling fans that are listening and watching, Sunday, once again, at the Whiskey Go-Go in Hollywood, come see the director himself, FDS, Fake Destroyed, will be taking over the Whiskey and rocking out. Well, I don't know. He's going to rock out with his. I don't think he is, but come by.
Hollywood. It can happen.
And it's Hollywood. You're absolutely right. So come by. It's a free show, all ages. Come by, say hi to the director, take a picture, buy him a Shirley Temple, and if you want autographs, get an autograph from the director himself because he is that famous. That's for sure.
Most definitely.
And shameless plug for me really quickly. If anyone wants to follow me on social media, it's GreatLove91. I post about wrestling. I post about music. I post about TV, movies, all that shit. So if you guys want to do that, that's where you find me.
Absolutely. We'll put it right here in the description for sure.
Most definitely.
Follow Vanessa, ladies and gentlemen. Follow her.
I'm going to follow you right now.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. I love it.
Love it. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, the host Stevie's what I've been seeing here with the director himself, the one and only Chris Kennedy, and Mr. DeLorean himself, Mike De Niro. And of course, the Vanessa General V, Vanessa right there. Same to you guys.
Yeah, always.
Catch you always, and always love wrestling. But yes, like I said, we don't podcast. We fucking make history. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend, everyone. We'll catch you guys on the next one.